Welcome to another video from Gweilo 60. Today we're going to be making a video about China Matters. Yeah, exactly. And you're wondering, what the hell are you talking about, Gweilo? Well, you see, the world is in a frenzy at this point in time. Spouting the idea that, well, we're pissed off at China and we want to bring our manufacturing jobs back to the United States, back to Canada. We want to bring our manufacturing jobs back and then just fill in the country type thing. And this is basically worldwide in the first tier countries, Canada, the United States, Great Britain, Australia, places like that. But they're not thinking straight when they say this. China's been the manufacturing capital of the world for a long time. They started out making little plastic toys and just garbage is what it was, because the Western countries, the Western companies in the Western countries could make more money off getting it done in China than they could in the United States or Canada, or wherever they may be type thing. So it was cheaper to get it done over here because the wages were less, electricity was less, buying property or renting property was less. It just the cost was so much less. Well, it still is less in China, but you see, China's not that inexpensive anymore. China's competing with a number of other countries, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, the Philippines, Brazil, just to name a few. You can get things done a lot cheaper in those countries than you can in China. Take my word for this. In China, they have massive factories, manufacturing factories. I've been to Guangdong province. I used to go through factory tours back in 2007 to 2012-ish. Used to do a lot of immigration work out of factories in Guangdong province. Okay, well, you got to understand there's a thing called Economies of Scale, and if you are if you're manufacturing anything, the more units you put out, the cheaper each unit gets. And China builds stuff on a massive scale for everywhere in the world, not just their own economy. But you see, China's sort of moving from an export dominant country to domestic usage type thing, eh? So they've got 1.4 billion customers in this country alone. So when they make things for their country, they're doing it on a massive scale also. It's the way it is. This is China. So now say let's pick on the States, because I always pick on the States. It's sort of what I do. So say the United States wants to start manufacturing stuff back in their own country, and kudos for you if you do. That's a good idea. But is it? Okay. Say you're manufacturing crock pots. All right. Are you manufacturing crock pots for your own people, or are you going to manufacture them for Americans and everybody else in the world? If you're going to manufacture for everybody else in the world and not just your citizens, how does your prices compare to prices of the same products, same quality, that are made in Cambodia, China, Brazil? You know what I mean? What wages are you paying? And the thing is that in the United States, people expect a fair wage. I say fair because things are more expensive than the United States. Things are less expensive here. I go out for breakfast, it's $1 or $2. You know what I mean? Try doing that in the United States or Canada. Canada especially, holy moly. It's more expensive. So people have to be paid more to earn a living at that job. Okay, so you got your manufacturing company up and running, you got all of your cadiddles and cadaddles in place, and you've got all your people hired, and you're paying them, let's say, $15 an hour for a manufacturing job. That's pretty good. When you go to Cambodia and they're paying them $2 an hour or $1 an hour. Okay, much more expensive is your crock pot than the ones coming out of Cambodia? China's running into that problem right now because there's so many other countries out there doing manufacturing, just not on the scale that China is. China can still compete because they do the mass manufacturing of billions of crock pots a year type thing, or you know what I mean. And as you make more, you can make them for cheaper. Plus, it's not just the making of the products. Now, how do you distribute your products? Yeah, you see, the Chinese professionals at this are really good at it. They've been manufacturing for years and years and years, and they've been distributing their products for years and years and years. You see the Walmarts of the world, and that's an American company, and they're everywhere in the world. You go in there, how many products are made in China? A lot. So, you know, they're so entrenched into the Western world. What would happen to Walmart if there was no Chinese products being sold in the United States now? Yeah, exactly. So the idea that the West thinks that they can compete in manufacturing, okay. China probably says, well, we don't care if you want to go make crock pots in the United States, that's fine. We don't care. We'll sell to the rest of the world, not the United States. And the United States is going to compete with us? I don't think so. It's their products will be way more expensive. So your citizens are going to be paying more for the same products, and the rest of the world isn't. China's already losing the lower end manufacturing jobs to these smaller countries, and they really don't care. They're getting into the high-tech stuff. They're getting into cell phones and computers. They're manufacturing more vehicles, cars, trains, airplanes, things like that, where the technology is really steep type thing, and so they're getting into that higher end stuff. Sure, they do a lot of the lower end stuff also, but that higher end stuff I think is the future of China. And you know, I think that's a future of a place like Canada, the United States and stuff also. They want to be in that high-tech thing. That's where the money is. That's where your expertise is. And you're not going to be able to pay your employees at a low-end manufacturing company enough to keep them there. Or you could just immigrate people in to do the work, like they do in Arizona and say the Imperial Valley in Southern California. When the fields need to be picked, they bring in day workers, seasonal day workers from Mexico to do that work, because the Americans won't do the back-breaking work, and they won't do it for the price that the Mexican workers will do it for. So you've got to immigrate these people in to do the work. If you have low-end manufacturing in the States, picking on the States again, the same thing's going to happen. Your people aren't going to do it because the wages aren't good enough. So what are you going to do? You got to pull people in. You got to have more people, immigrants, coming in to do those low-end jobs, like in Tim Hortons or in, you know what I mean. It's one of those things. And the tides are changing, guys, because, you know, if the States wants to bring back manufacturing of face masks is a big thing right now. If they want to bring back manufacturing of face masks into the United States, well, that's sort of a low-end thing. So it started out, the United States was sending those manufacturing jobs over to China because they didn't want to do it because there was no money in it. Now they want those jobs back into the United States, and China is doing the high-tech stuff instead of the low-tech stuff. See how the world is sort of flipping 180 degrees? Scary, eh? And that's probably why the Western world is all up in arms about the Chinese experience, because they see that this is happening. They see that they're not being able to compete. They see that China is growing and is getting more technologically advanced than it has been in the past, so they can compete on the scale, the world scale, in the high-tech industry. Look at Huawei, for instance. You know what I mean? 5G, guys, come on. And when they're competing in that high-tech stuff, you got to understand that China has economies of scale, where China can build, like, literally millions and millions and millions of cell phones, billions of cell phones, and distribute them around China and sell to other countries. But they can build them on such a scale that the price is much lower, the quality is higher. How can the Western world compete with this? Especially, they start out with 1.4 billion customers, and that's just in their country alone. So economies of scale is why China has a leg up on basically everywhere else in the world, because they can manufacture so many units of one thing at the same time for sale. So the West is in a tough pickle. No wonder they're freaking out about China. You know, and they've got a good right to be freaking out about China, because to compete with a country like China is really, really difficult, especially in manufacturing, because these guys know this inside and out and backwards. You've got a whole province, Guangdong province, that basically is one big manufacturing hub. Oh man, I've seen it. It is unreal. You've got miles and miles and miles of manufacturing companies, and it's just growing and growing. There's no end to it. So when the West is worried about jobs and manufacturing, yeah, they probably should be worried. So in short, you're going to be competing. If you take these jobs back, or start manufacturing back in the United States or Canada or wherever, Canada, give it up, guys. You've got natural resources, work on that, because economies of scale, what are you going to do? Make 50 crock pots? You know what I mean? But you're going to be up against seasoned professionals in manufacturing. You're going to be up against seasoned professionals in distribution. You're going to be up against an economy of scale that is like, what, 4 times the size of the United States just to start out with. You're going to be up against people that have been doing this for literally decades, and they have this down to a science. They know exactly what they're doing. So you're going to compete with these guys? I don't think that's going to happen. I think that if you do the manufacturing in the West, things are going to be really expensive for your citizens. I can see that you're probably going to back off on buying a lot of the Chinese products out there, but I think instead of manufacturing them in the United States or Canada, what you're going to do is you're going to look for third countries. You're going to look at Cambodia. You're going to look at Brazil. You're going to look at the Philippines as a manufacturing place to get your stuff done. And yeah, these are you know, poorer countries that need the employment, need the money, and that's probably a good thing. And I don't think China has a problem with that. I think that the idea why they're saying, we want to take our jobs back, we want the manufacturing back in our own country, we want it out of China, is probably based on the wrong idea that China's bad and everywhere else in the world is good. I've been living in China for 17 years, guys, and this place is sort of like paradise for me. The beer is cheap. Oh yeah, Gweilo likes beer. Brandy's even cheaper. The weather is good. It's 30 degrees out today. I'm loving it here. I got my e-bike. I don't have my e-bike. I got Wei Feng's e-bike. My e-bike, there's something matter. It's got a loose wire or something. I gotta tear it down and fix it up again, and you know. But the thing is that China's a good place. I got an actual comment from a guy from Finland today saying that because of my videos, he changed his mind on China. That made me feel good. So I'll leave you with a positive note there, and that's another video from Gweilo 60. If you like this video, as always, like, comment, subscribe, push that share button, hit the bell. Don't forget to make a comment, and never forget to put a couple of bucks on the Children's Patreon account. It's for a good cause. It's for poor rural Chinese children. They just need a helping hand. We can give them that helping hand. Thanks for watching. Bye now.